What's up, everyone? This is your boy Markeith, and welcome to another episode of When Men Speak. We got your normal panelists here with us today. We got Chancey, aka Kurt. We got Gabe, aka Preacher Man, and then we got another guest, one of our brothers, Shout, tuning in with us today. And this episode, I know it's been a while since we've been on. Well, we thank you guys for tuning in. The title of this episode is the importance of true brotherhood. So as we get ready to go into this, we're gonna go around the horn and ask all the fellas, what do you think, or what is the meaning of true brotherhood to you guys? And we're gonna start off with Chancey. What's true brotherhood to you?
So you were supposed to get a definition first.
Oh, true brotherhood is basically people coming together for one common theme, and they create a special bond with one another. That's what the definition speaks of. So, what is true brotherhood to you guys? To
All
you,
right,
Chance?
all right. So all of us are military folks, So I think for us it's a little bit different. But for me specifically, it is brotherhood is, for instance, I use this for instance, and I'm gonna use Chap, and I can use you, Marquis, too. It we all met. I met Chap back in 1997 at Fort Stewart, Georgia, in the military. And there have been times when Chap and I have went a year or more without communicating with one another due to whatever various reasons. When we reconnect, it's as if we talk every single day. Don't miss a beat. And I've done that with you too, Marquis. So I feel like true brotherhood is a connection beyond it stems beyond just day-to-day communications, but it runs so deep that doesn't matter how long you go without communicating, when you finally do connect, it's as if you never missed a beat because you're just that connected to one another.
Mm,
That brotherhood
okay,
bond is so strong.
Chap.
Man, yeah, there's so much in there to unpack, man. But I absolutely agree with the Chiefs. Matter of fact, I call them Coach Chiefs just because of we're so close. We're connected that way. But when you think about brotherhood, man, it kind of goes beyond the natural family. It kind of takes you into a different place where you connect with people, man, and you just know they're gonna be there. It doesn't. For me personally, it didn't happen overnight. It happened through trial. Because there are a lot of people that I thought would be here that are not, you know. But when it was all said and done, those that will remain that were still standing, when I came out of the fire, those are the ones that I really, from day one considered, my brothers. And even in this case here, Markeith, like, man, the first time I met you was when I was going through the fire. I physically met you going through, and so we had been talking on the group discussion and things like that. But for you to drive up, and meet me at a what was it, a Denny's, just to check on me, that's David shooting his arrow right there, and I tell you, that's what brotherhood means to me. It's beyond the blood. It really is where a place where you can be safe in being vulnerable. You don't have to. You can lose your ego. You can actually just expose your true self, your losses and your victories, and nobody will never look at you with the side eye just because of you being who you are. We'll come back around. There are times when we had disagreements, but be able to come back around and it's all love. It's all love. So that's what brotherhood means to me, man. It's beyond the physical representation, and it goes into just the deeper core things. Because with men, it's not easily achieved. And you would think it would be inside of your family, but it's redefined. Brotherhood is redefined. Because there are people that are actually connected to me biologically that I'm not as close to as those that are right here on the screen. And so and that speaks to, you know, the love in your heart, and you know, and that speaks to God's plan. So in a nutshell, that's what it means. It's just beyond the physical, you know, definition of what that should be.
Thank you for that. Gabe, what you got?
Yeah, I kind of agree with what Chancey and Chop said. Like as they were talking, I was sitting here thinking, like I always had the opposite, right? Where it's never been family, like Chop said, right? My dad had a bunch of kids. He was a Rolling Stone, right? But so I don't know my other sibling on my dad's side that close. On my mom's side, had a little brother, but I'm like 13, 14 years older than him. So we can't relate and build. But God plays men. I mean, while you're talking, I talk about Chancey. The moment I met Chancey at work, and you always been like a big brother. Markeith, when I met you, was like that. I met one of my best friend in Afghanistan, Ephraim. We just met and we connected, and his wife and my wife, they're good friends. So I think that's what I think. Like Chop said, is beyond blood. That's what I experienced. And then what lately I found is sometimes people that you think are meant to be in your life forever, God pulled them out. So like I have friends that were in my wedding that started acting funny towards me. Like we went to college together, right? And you know, men when men start doing chick stuff, and I think I talked to you, Chancey, about it. Like you call, you don't pick up, I'm just like, okay. But people, people have angst because this is what I led in the spirit to say. In life, people may have definition of what they think your life should be, and people that is not really for you. If you go in the other direction, is not going to be really there. And God has a way of showing you your true brothers. So I found the way to see who's going to be my true brothers, and that's what brotherhood is. Beyond blood is people that God put in your life beyond seasons. Like Chop talk about darkness, light, happy. They're happy when you're happy, and they're like when Job friends, when you're down, they come around you. And I'll just close with it. Markeith, Chancey, I've been through the fire, and hey, having a brother to say, hey, pray for me, he set me straight, not just tell me what I want to hear, right? Markeith have helped, and Chancey have helped during those times. So that's why I know it's beyond seasons, and that's true brotherhood. People that'll be there when you're happy, when you're down, and will always tell you the truth in love. That's true brotherhood.
Man. So when I think about brotherhood, um I think about how I ended up, you know, just seeking for true brotherhood. I ended up transitioning completely out of the church, to be honest with you, because I began to see there was a big gap between. I think we've talked about this before. There was a huge gap between the church and the streets, right? And I saw that whether people believe what I believed or not, we still had a common thing, and that was we were men and we were human. We were fathers. You know what I'm saying? We were, at that time we were black men, in America. So no matter what my belief was, that was one thing that we could all agree on, right? And that we can hold each other accountable for, and in the midst of it, you know what I'm saying, even pray for one another. And so as God guided me in that, um and people begin to come to this social gathering that I created for men, um dudes begin to get delivered. They begin to see different perspectives as far as life was concerned. We began to be more active in the communities. We was able to call on each other when situations took place. So true brotherhood, man, it goes far beyond spirituality. It goes far beyond, um, physicality. It goes far beyond. I guess the sex orientation, it goes far beyond everything. If we really, look at it in its entirety, man. And I just remember creating that form as people begin to open up, because God showed me, He was like, as people open up and lay these things on the table, it was like He was like, as they lay it on the table, as you begin to pray, I will begin to heal them. No matter what religion they are, no matter what they believe, just being in this environment, when the word of God says iron sharpening iron, you guys will be able to sharpen one another, you know what I'm saying? And you will be able to cover each other. Um, and in this environment, I began to become vulnerable in certain ways because they were vulnerable, right? So we began to feed off each other. And I would say within this, I was what I think I was 33 years old. I realized after all that time that when I was a kid that I was molested. It took that form for me to come to the understanding that as a kid I was molested by one of my cousins. Because in my mind, I felt like a boy couldn't be molested by a female, but a female could be molested by a male. And I felt that because I enjoyed her playing with me like that, and her allowing me to play with her, I thought that, you know what I'm saying, that was cool and that was okay. But at that moment in time, as we was talking amongst these brothers, I began to be enlightening and realize at 33 years old, something that happened to me when I was maybe like 5 or 4, you know, and man, I actually got teary eyed, and that began to be a healing moment for me. So beyond friendship, true brotherhood is like, man, that was the one of the experience and one of the impacts that true brotherhood had in reference to me. Because I know a lot of times we as men we hold things in and we don't have a safe space. But this was created to be a safe space, and that's what God used me to do. And that's how most of us are here on this line. So I want to ask you guys, like, what experience have you had and the impact that it had on you being a part of a true brotherhood?
Oh boy. So you know my experience, but for the audience. So my wife and I have been together. We started dating. I was 15, she was 12. 1989. This New Year's Eve will be 33 years. Together, 23 years married. But when we came up here to Virginia, we separated for a year. And I don't have time to tell the whole backstory, but there was no infidelity. I'll just say that. But there was neglect. We separated for a year, and during that separation, I was broken. I was broken, and in that way, I was broken because I had come from the desert, and I was in and out of counseling, in and out of therapy, trying to figure out how to cope with this new way of life after having, you know, had my mind focused on that survival and not dying and all that stuff. And I had to learn how to be reintroduced to society, as it were. And so all that's going on at the same time. And I was in a place, I felt things I've never felt in my life, even in war. I felt a pain and a loss and a sadness and a depression and you name it. I've never felt those types of things in war, that I felt at the thought of losing my wife. And during that time, there were there were there were three guys in my life that I could call on. Didn't matter what day, time, and two of those men are on this call tonight, Chap and Marquis. And I can tell you with all certainty that I would not have made it through that season of my life had those brothers not been there for me. Uh, I have brothers, blood brothers, but I didn't call them not one time during this season of my life. So that just reiterates what the brothers have already spoken about, going beyond blood. It was Marquis Chap and another brother that Chief knows, Kenneth Evans. That was my nucleus that helped me hold it together. Of course, prayer and all that stuff, but having somebody to talk to, having somebody to lean on, having somebody to pray you through, having somebody to talk you, out of taking yourself out. There was suicidal ideation. I mean, all of that. I went through all of that, and these brothers here held me down, man, and kept me from ending my life, and I'll forever be grateful. But that was my experience on how brotherhood impacted my life in a real way.
So real quick, give some significance in that moment, during that time. Give some significance, impacts that um that took place during that time from your nucleus that help you stay where you are, stay on track and not make certain decisions.
There were times when I couldn't get out of bed. I stay in the bed all day. I had no energy, no desire, no drive, no. And one of you guys would call me and just to check on me. You know what I'm saying? I'm checking in, bro. How you doing, man? Talk me through your day. Talk me through what's going on. Talk me through what you're thinking. All that stuff. I mean, there were days, and I don't even know if you guys knew it or not. When you had to literally talk me off the edge, man. Like I was laying there sometimes contemplating how I would do it, how I would end it, and there were conversations that we would have, and these are these are hours conversations, not just a, hey bro, checking on you, man, I hope you're good, praying for you. No, you guys would stay on the phone with me for hours, man, just helping me process and helping me get through and giving me words of encouragement, iron sharpening iron, giving me just nuggets, to make it through the day. You know what I'm saying? Just things of that nature, and just being present. You know what I'm saying? You weren't here physically, but your presence in my ear and in my heart, and knowing, and not just saying I'm gonna pray for you, but literally on the phone praying for me as I'm weeping and moaning and crying out. That presence, that was the impact. Those are some significant events um, that happened during that time, man. That comes to mind.
What you got, Gabe?
Um, so for me was right after I got married. Um, my little sister had like a episode, and at that time, um, my wife and I got in close, so she was calling us all the time. And all my life, my mom have. And when a person that loved me, man, was my grandmother. But she would send all her siblings on me, man. And my uncles would call me no matter minute or day. My aunt would curse me out. That's not love. And I just got married, and I was suicidal that day. And I went to on the veterans thing on in Alexandria, and the guy was like, "Yeah, we can't help you." And I just remember um, one of the guys I knew from the military told me about the church I go to have a men's group. And I walk in there, it was funny. Chance, I like rocking those lapel, and my lapel was upside down. In the military, if you're in trouble, you turn your ID upside down. And one of the brothers, George Tony, who's a Marine, he's like, I enter the room, first day there. He's like, "Are you in distress?" And I'm like, By the way, yes, I am in distress. And God used the brothers at Grace Covenant Church, the Wednesday men's group, to sow into me, man. Messed up human being, always looking for love. My father was never there. These brothers has been there for me, and through them, I learned to know my true father, God. He always been a dad to me, man. But I can think about it because many times, if it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't be here right now, man. And I remember another incident. I was on travel in Malta. Did went a place I'm not supposed to go. Got robbed and feeling distressed. And the only person I just called was Markeith. I was thinking about killing myself because I was so embarrassed. And Markeith talked to me. He's like, he calmed me down. But God he always put people in your life, brothers, man, that will be there for you. And I really appreciate Chancey and Markeith being there, the brothers from the men's group. My brother Green, he, he he kept me out of trouble in the Navy all the time. He come and see Dad overslept, and he would come in and make excuses for me. These are brothers that, like I said, is God have taught me, man, it's not a season. Because my heart, man, I have God's heart. I love. So it hurts when I see people like this discard me. And that's always been my life, man. Most people in my family discarded me. We don't have the time for the things they told me, man. Not the normal, you're not going to be nothing. I mean, things that went to my soul. And my wife and I was just talking about that. There's no excuse to be mean to people. No excuse. You're not helping them. But I just want to say, man, yeah, the men's group, you guys, just having someone to call. Um, because I never had a family, man. Yeah, I have physical family, but they never care about me, man. In the sense of the things they said to me, they wish the worst of me. It's like right now, if my life was horrible, they will celebrate. That's my family. But there's the God. Like when I realized that God was really my father, and God is a vindicator, you know? God is the vindicator. So God likes raising things up that men discard, that say you're not going to be nothing. And all my life, even people that, like my mom, she's will protect me. I was working with my counselor just the other day. From the time I was a baby, people that I was in cars with, like my stepfather's friend, that we didn't have a car in Africa. I was with their children, and our son is blowing spitballs at me. Spitballs. I'm a kid, and that's always been my life. People like my cousin, my uncle Roland, and his wife. I went to spend time. His children was bathing with hot water, and I was born with pneumonia, and I was being bathed with cold water on purpose. That's my life. Always discarded. It's almost like they're trying to take me out. So that's what brotherhood, man. God has shown me, like Chop says, beyond blood, man. It's beyond blood. And it's beyond seasons. When you have people that no matter what season you are in life, you can pick up the phone, like Chancey said, and talk for hours, or will talk you off the ledge. Because my life is a testimony. I don't have a family. Right now, it's just me and my wife. Yeah, I have a physical family, but if I write in a book. It'll be a tell-all. If I can tell you the thing that pulled me through, it was not right. I was just a kid, and what I just all my life always discarded, always, and that's why I had to talk to God about it. Like why? But it follows me. So friends, like the friend I mentioned, he was in my wedding. All nothing but love. The moment that he felt in my spirit that my life was progressing, he just stopped picking up the phone. And that is like it because I love like that. So it's like, did I do something? So yeah, that's all I want to say. I'm sorry. It's just beyond seasons. That's true brotherhood, and that's what God has taught me.
Appreciate you saying, bro. Chap, what you got, man?
Wow, man. Um, man, brothers, I'm just, for one, just let me say I'm glad we all still here. Jesus. Um, I think one thing that I really connected with inside of brotherhood that really stands out to this day, it resonates in my life, and I try to position myself accordingly. Is when you have a real brother, if you're blessed enough, you have more than one. Um, but one thing I learned in my relationship, especially with Chancey, and as that thing developed, is I remember how we positioned ourselves according to the need. Um, and it was something that kind of molded us, because there were times where I didn't need a minister. I needed a man, and there were times where I didn't need a man. I needed a minister, and there were times I didn't need either one of them. I just needed a shoulder. And and I learned throughout the course of the relationship um, what to be and how to be, because I know what he's been and what you've been for me. So I became a mirror because that's what you guys were for me. Um, I remember going through my pain, and if you've never heard a grown man cry, ask Coach East. I shrieked when my heart was broken, and all he could say was Jesus. There were no other words, but he just gave me his shoulder. And a lot of times we identify with the struggle, so it makes it that much more real. I don't think he would have had a shoulder if he never needed one. And so it solidified, who we were. And it's so man, it's so powerful when you can see yourself in somebody else. And that's what brotherhood is I can look at this man and see me, and that man can look at me and see himself. And no matter my wins or losses, he can identify with all of them. Marquis, you came up from Tampa. Man, that speaks to me to this day. And that was because you could feel that I was in trouble. I was really destitute. Um, I couldn't identify with anything spiritual and didn't want to. I was losing myself. And so that one moment, it changed my life, to think that somebody would actually take the time out on a Saturday and come up and see about me, not knowing that the day before I had prayed, like, God, show me something. So, when you talk about brotherhood and what it means, I can finally rest in my relationships with the men that I love in my life, because I'm not concerned about if they don't hear from me, if they're gonna walk away from me. I feel safe. And inside any brotherhood, man, you have to have safety first. And so, I've experienced safety first with Chiefs, with you. I've experienced it. So I know what it means. And I know what it means to pick up the phone and I can identify with what somebody needs. They may not need my counsel. They might just need to breathe. But there were times they may need my counsel. And there may times that they just, man, I just need you to be real with me. Can we just not pick up a Bible and let's just eat this burger? And wherever way I found myself, man, I've learned to be attentive, because there are times, man, where I had nothing. I was starting all over again. And I called my biological brothers and they said no. But this man said yes. And it went beyond a tangible blessing for me. And he said it with ease, you know. So it speaks volumes. And I'm telling you, man, there's nothing more valuable than this. You can't put a price tag on it, you know, to know that you start and stop no matter what the time is. I know I got people, you know, that got my six. And it didn't happen overnight. So I've learned how to respect my relationships more. I've learned how to appreciate the people that God have, because I lost a lot of people that I thought would be there. But the ones that are here are the ones that should be here. And so I have a greater appreciation. I'll pick up the phone now and every now and then, hey man, I just want to let you know how much I appreciate you, because it means more to me than it ever has. And so I think that one thing inside of a relationship, inside of a brotherhood, is you're always learning because of the brothers that you're with. You're always growing. You're always being a better husband, a better father. There's never a time where you're sedentary. So I'm always evolving because of this. So, you know, if I may, when I got the invite, this was such a blessing to my soul, because I've been so thirsty just for the fellowship. Because it's one thing to have it and, you know, not know what you have. And then it's another thing to not have it and realize that, man, I had it all. So that's such a great appreciation for brotherhood for me. It just sticks out, you know, more than anything, because I just, like I said, I feel safe. And it's all because of this. And I think that any man longs for that, whether they admit it or not. Any man we're always looking, we're always searching, we always got something that we need to tell somebody that we're not vulnerable enough to say, because I just met this dude. You know, we're always in that space where I got to say something to somebody. We're always longing for that fellowship. And, you know, once you have it, you know, it's something you never, ever want to let go of, you know? And so there's so many things just to say about and speak to it. But at the end of the day, it really is about, you know, big love inside of this. You know, like there were times where I was depressed and I didn't want to talk. You know, I didn't want to pick my phone up. But I know that man said, well, you know, I know that ain't Chiefs. I'm going to give him some time. And that's what love is. And that's what love does. It doesn't hold it against you when you're hurting. You know, it allows you to grow and come back around. And they never held it against me. He never held it against me. He knew where I was and he understood that. And it means a lot. It means a lot to me. So in essence, I would say that of all of it, I've really learned, you know, just because of my mirrors in my life, you know, through my brothers. Coach Cheese, he's a mirror. Markeith, you're a mirror. And, you know, I've learned how to position myself according to the need, because I know that you brothers did that according to me. So I'm always aware. Okay, when you call, you know, who do I need to be today for you? You know, because all I want to do is see you win. You know, and I think inside of this, that's the main goal, is to see each other win. So I'll stop right there. But you know.
So what when one of the big things you said was safety, right? The crazy part about this whole thing is, right, I only met, see, a lot of us think about brotherhood, and we think about the people that's right around us that we can see physically and touch physically, right? I only met Chap once. I only met Gabe once. And so the connection that we have is, again, far beyond physical. We've been doing all our talking and connecting over the phone, right? And the first time that I met Chap, of course, we the group that I talked about us having, we ended up not meeting in person anymore, but all of us are in different states. And we would do a brotherhood call or discussion call on the phone, and we would become vulnerable. We created a safe space. We became vulnerable over the phone. And some of us never met, i.e., me and Gabe, me and Chap had never met before, but we connected spiritually, emotionally, intellectually, all those areas, and we had proven without even seeing each other, and we had that kinship. And so Chancey tells me, "Hey, this is what's going on with Chap." Chancey is what? How far are you away? Like 12 hours away from us? Man, he Chancey like I'm always asking about how Chap doing. When Chap ain't picking up the phone for me, we got Chancey on the other side calling too. You know what I'm saying? And so we double teaming. He finally pick up with Hayward. I mean with Chancey. And then Chancey like, hey man, he ain't doing good, man. XYZ, this what's going on. I'm like, bet. Hey, listen, I'm only 3 hours away, 2.5 hours away. I'm going down there this weekend. You know what I'm saying? I'm going this weekend. I'm going to see what's going on. I'm finna touch bases with him, XYZ. First time ever meet. Go down there, we connect. You know what I'm saying? He still vulnerable me because we made that rapport with one another. And you know what I'm saying? And it didn't have to be a face-to-face thing. You can feel it. You know what I'm saying? When you connect spiritually, intellectually, emotionally with an individual, you know what I mean? And then that just a man being able to be in a space to where he can be vulnerable, man, means everything because the weight of the world and the things that we deal with, you know what I'm saying, in relationships as fathers, in the world, just being a black man, all these things we deal with on top of our, childhood trauma that bring us. We gotta have some many of us won't ever go to a counselor or a therapist, but this is the best thing outside of that. Because when we learn to be what each other need at that moment in time, give you the tough love, you know what I'm saying? Tell you the thing that you don't want to hear, correct you, you know what I'm saying? Encourage you when you need to be encouraged, praying over each other when we need to pray for each other, making that 3 hour drive when you know it's a desperate need and they need to see somebody, they need to touch somebody. Man, I'm sorry, I'm getting passionate. But that's what true brotherhood is, man. That's what true brotherhood is. And we have to be open to that. We can't just constantly, you know, put ourselves in what? In a bubble and just try to handle it all on our own. Go ahead.
No, man, I was just gonna say, and because of that, bro, we gotta make sure that we're so attentive to the spirit when he moves on us to reach out to one another. Because I'm telling you, man, there were days when and I made that like really, really a priority in my life 2 years ago because I had gotten so bad that he would lay people on my heart and I wouldn't reach out. I like put it off or I call him when I get a chance or whatever you may be. And when I actually finally did get a call, talk to them, or they called me, it was in desperation. It was, the 11th hour. It was the bubble had burst.
Mm-hmm.
And had I reached out when they were initially laid upon my heart, it wasn't that bad at that time. But I was walking in disobedience. And I've learned from that, So now when he lays someone on my heart, man, I reach out right then. I don't care what it is. I'm calling, because you just never know what people are, man. Because, and it's like Chap said earlier, you can't be that to someone if you never know what that feel like. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so because we've all been through our own forms of trauma and our pain and depression and suicide and all those things that we've been through, when he lays somebody on your heart, man, you need to be quick about it. You know what I mean? Because
Mm-hmm.
you just never know. It could be talking somebody off the edge. It could be talking life back into them in that very moment in their life. You just never know what people are, man. So, having that brotherhood is vital that you be a part of it, but it's just as vital to reciprocate that back to those who are in that circle of brotherhood for you.
Yeah, I think one point Chop made was when. I think that's where one thing again is like true brothers want to see each other succeed. There's no animosity, jealousy, crab in the barrel mentality. We want to see each other succeed. And God knows. So I have an anger issue. I joke that I'm from Jersey, but I know I'm dealing with my trauma. So there was an instant at work, and this person, me and one of my coworkers, we got into it. And I always joke, Chancey is laughing. I always joke like I'm gonna go Jersey on you, meaning like Chris Christie, New Jersey. That's like, with all due respect, nothing good comes after that kind of Jersey on you, right? And the Lord just let me say, you know what, go to your brother Chancey. Like I needed him to just kind of calm me down because I was ready to take this dude head off. Like I was that just I was livid. And so I thank God you really, God knows what we need when we need it. But again, that true brotherhood is like we all want to see each other succeed. And one of the things, especially as black men, is our mental health. It's like we so anti counseling. We anti talking about being emotional. And then the world is just crazy now with all the things from the women coming. No offense, right? I don't know what's going on. The world's just nuts. So men, it's like we don't know. I just feel like we get stuck. We don't know which way to go. You can't be vulnerable. She gonna think you're a punk. If you're too tough, it's like. But having that safe space is so important. And that's what I don't even call it a Bible study. That men's group at church at Grace. That's what it is. Yeah, I call him my godfather. He used to work at Ditcher a long time ago. He SES, but he runs the group, Jim, right? And we go there, men. Like I said, we just need something to upload. Like some of the things I need to upload on these, but I can't offload on my wife. No offense, I just can't. So it's just things, and it took me back to the young lady that her father committed suicide. She said something so profound. She said, we as African Americans have experienced the most trauma in this country, yet we anti mental health awareness getting help. That's the young lady that her father killed him, fortunately killed himself. But what she said is so profound. Because years ago when I was in Afghanistan, my little brother was going through his thing. I asked my parents, I'm like, send the counseling. I will pay for it. And both my mom and my stepfather refused. Years later, after all the trauma I went through, my little brother almost killed my mom and my stepfather. He lost it. Like signs, mental health. Like, so one thing God has given me is like when I know I'm going over the edge, I reach, I call. Like I know I have PTSD now from all the military stuff, but Chancey would admit to Markeith, I'll call, be like, yo, I'm I'm about to do something stupid, and the Markeith would be like, yeah, do opposite of everything you want to do. Just do the opposite. Don't go this way, go the other way. But just having that people you can call, I know have saved my life or saved me from doing something crazy because we all need that. And I think that's the takeaway. Yeah, we need that brotherhood, but it's so vital. Even if we anti-counseling, I just feel the Holy Spirit is saying, you don't need to go to a doctor. If you have band of brothers, like, Chop, Marquis, Chancey, what you guys talked about, that was counseling. And Chancey, you're a professional, right? You do that So that was counseling in its sense, in its own form. So, I just talking to brothers out there, like even I know we anti going to therapists and whatever, but your band of brothers, you know, that give you good godly advice. I'm not talking about because the other side, but your band of brothers can be your counselors, when you going through trauma before you do, because about 60, 70% of people in prison because of anger. And my counselor told me, if you put a D before anger, is danger. So a lot of times in my life, God has spared me because I know I have an anger. I was about to, but he put Chancey there that day. You know, that I could go. He tell him to calm down. And he always provided like that safe haven. But that's the key, just having a band of brothers, even if you don't have a professional, someone that you can just like, man, and be vulnerable, be honest. Like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. I don't even, they know I don't sugarcoat it. I'm like, man, I'm thinking about this. And that's what my kid like, no, 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 do the opposite. But be vulnerable with them too, because that's the only way it will work. I think we agree with that, right? Because if I'm lying to you guys, then I'm not going to get the help that maybe God and the Holy Spirit put in you to give me. So, having a safe space that we can be vulnerable is what that Wednesday group has for me. And it's like, I look forward to it because it's like my own form of therapy.
It's funny you mentioned that statistic about prisoners. I was watching this documentary, man, and it's actually higher than 70%. But the the majority of men in prison, African American men in prison, are there because of loss of self control, and that's one character trait that we as black men don't teach our sons enough of, because when I watched this documentary, I was like, you got to be kidding me. But if you think about it, we are the pride and ego, and you're not gonna talk to me any kind of way, and you're not gonna treat me this way, you're not gonna do this and do that, and I'm a man, and you don't, but the majority of African American men in prison are there because they could not maintain their self control. And man, having as you said, gave a band of brothers that can talk you off the ledge, that can talk some sense into you, that can bring you back to reality, that can just show you a different perspective, change the way you're looking at it. You know what I mean? Or remind you of what you have to lose. If you decide to take that action, if you decide to make that decision, and sometimes it's just having a conversation to just pull you back, and just that second or 2 or 3 seconds of pause is all you need to, like, you know what? That ain't worth it. Like, man, I appreciate you, bro. Cause boy, I'm about to give it to him. And we all have it, but just imagine the number of brothers who don't have that band of brothers to go to. Somebody, at work, or that you can just pick up and call at any given time, day or night. What have I told all of y'all that you can do for me? Anytime, right? And I tell everybody that. Anytime. I don't care what time. And my wife knows. If my phone rings, she look, I'm gonna slide out the bed and tiptoe out the room, because I know this could be a life or death situation. And I don't want that to be on my conscience or on me. So I tell everybody, hey man, I don't care what, when, how, call me. I don't care. Call me. Because I know, depending on where you are, it could mean life or death. Literally, for some people.
Man. So the importance of brotherhood is true brotherhood is so deep and so big. All of us need someone, even if it's one other person. All of us need someone. Um, and I guess the question is like, how do you go about um creating a brotherhood or being a part of a brotherhood? That's the question.
Go ahead, Cheese.
Um, I think one of the hardest struggles for men is to trust other men. We connect, but we don't. It's not easy for us to trust. And so, when you're establishing relationships, you have to be very intentional about it. You meet people along the way, and you just have to be very intentional about how you treat people. And I think in those spaces is how God cultivates relationships. But if you're careless, then there are people that could help you that will meet you and you'll never see again. So I think that we have to be careful about who we meet and how we treat them, not knowing what we could do for them or even what they could do for us. So I think, in that, because you don't know who you're going to meet from day to day, and you don't know what that person could be going through, and you don't know what that person could do for you or whatever. But it's hard for us to connect because I don't think we're intentional enough as men to really connect in that way. We'll say hi, hey man, how you doing? Let's watch the game. We'll exchange numbers, but it kind of drops off after that. And so when you are looking and seeking, I think that being intentional about treating people right is where it starts. Just being intentional about, calling somebody back or, responding to a text or, somebody new coming into your life and, having to trust that person. You got to feel them out to connect with them first. And I think God does the rest when he sees how intentional we are about connecting with people. And if they're for you, they'll be there. And if not, then they won't. God doesn't make it confusing. He doesn't make it hard. And it's still to this day, it's amazing to me how many men I know and how small my circle is. Just to give it some context, I know a lot of men, but my circle, I can put it on one hand. So just to give it some context. So I think being intentional about the men in your life, whether they're brand new or they've been there forever, I think that's where it all starts. Is how you treat that person in the elevator, how you treat that dude along the way, how you treat that guy at work, because you never know. And it goes beyond skin color, it goes beyond education, it goes beyond title. You can be a CEO or a janitor. That it doesn't matter. And anybody in between, just being intentional about how we treat God's people, God's men is really, I think that's where it begins.
Agreed, and I don't think it's something that you can create. But I agree with Chap. I think it definitely starts with being intentional. But all of the relationships that I have, the band of brothers that I have come to have that bond with, it wasn't created. But when we met, upon meeting, there was an organic exchange uh, of kinship, of connection, of that both parties recognize. It's not just one sided. That both parties recognize. You like, and I believe if we would just allow ourselves to be open, instead of so closed off and think that everybody's out to get you, everybody needs you, harm, and everybody is malicious, we would have more of that. But that's who I am. I'm a lover, and not just for women, of course, that's my problem. But I love hard, and I love everybody hard. So it's easy for me to make those connections because it's who I am organically. I can't help it. To the point where sometimes I overlove. I got to pull back sometimes because sometimes I can see that you don't mean me any good, but I can't let it change who I am. I just gotta, serve you the long handle spoon. But yeah, I don't think it's something that you can create, man. You like you said earlier, Marquise, you just know, man. Like when you met Chap in that parking lot at Denny's, you know what I'm saying? Even though you had talked to him on the phone, but when y'all physically met, you just knew. Like when I first met Gabe, we just connected, and man, and it's always been like that for me, man. So I don't think it's something that you can create or attempt to try to do. It just happens, and when it happens, you just know, man. Yeah.
Yeah. I think most of the brothers that you're gonna have beyond season are God given to you by God. I really believe that. God knows what we need. So, and some people are in your life for seasons, but the ones that are there, your band of brothers, God create position, situations that is unknown to you. Like us being on the show 10 years from now, you say I would have met Chancey and would be on the show. This I would never predict it. It was all God kind of led, and we follow. But He knows what we need. Like I was sitting here listening, thinking, like when I was going through my divorce, I was stationed in Norfolk, but we're in Newport News, and my ex had taken our son and rolled out to Northern Virginia. I was there by myself. But God put my C dad, as I call him, Green, like he got stationed in Virginia Beach. And Green doesn't know, but I needed him because, when I got lonely, my mom was in Kansas City. I didn't have family like that. So some weekends I just needed to go over there for us to just crack jokes. Sometimes we didn't go out, we just, watch movies, chill. But he helped me because when my ex took our son, I was suicidal. But no one knew, not even my mom, no one did. But Green will always call you, be like, hey man, don't come come over to Virginia Beach. And anybody been stationed there, traffic is horrible. So it'd be like, okay, gotta wait, plan it out. But I think it's most of the time it's God orchestrated. He knows what we need. The ones that are gonna be lasting. And then sometimes there's temporary, but yeah, I don't think you create it. Now, with the men's group I told you about, that was created intentional. I think that's the word that Chop, Marquise, Chancey, we all said. You have to be intentional. And one thing Chop said that stuck with me, you have to cherish those relationships. I think that's what hurt me and Chancey. I'm like you, I love hard. So when I see like dudes that I'm like, I'm down for you. I have nothing but love for you acting indifferent towards me, it hurts. Most people discard it, but that's just how God made me. I love like He loves. I love beyond levels. I just love like God loves. I don't look down on people. I see people, I try to see people like God sees them. So when people being different, it hurts. Then I went through the process of learning boundaries, like Chancey said, because people would take advantage. I had a close family member that I was close with, and I love this dude, love him. And God told me, the Holy Spirit told me plain then, He think your kindness, because of your kindness, you're stupid. And that went to my soul, man. And then God just took off the scales. And then I started seeing how He was treating me and this and that. And to this day, it hurts me because that's someone that